Uh, we should probably get started. Apologies for being remote, but I will call the meeting to order, the regular Ridgway Town Council meeting of Wednesday, March 13th, 2024, and ask for a roll call, please.
Councilors Grambly,
Here.
Kroger, here, Bacon, here, Schuyler,
Here.
Thomas,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer,
Here.
and Mayor Clark.
Here. Thanks, everybody. We have an executive session right off the bat. Bo, do you want me to read the citations or you want to do that? Sorry.
If you have it in front of you, that'd be great, Mayor.
Okay. I'm going to ask for a closed session pursuant to first off, Colorado Revised Statutes 24-6-402, parent 4, parent B, for the purpose of receiving legal advice on specific legal questions regarding the possible purchase and or condemnation of 539 Marion Overlook, Ridgway, Colorado. And 2, Colorado Revised Statutes 24-6-402, parent B for parent 4, parent B for consultation with the town attorney, and 24-6-402, parent 4, parent E for matters subject to negotiation regarding a temporary access agreement at Echo Properties.
Chris is on.
Somebody say so moved.
So moved.
Second.
Sounded like Polly and Kevin. I'm guessing, right?
Terrence.
It was Terry.
Okay. Motion made by Polly, seconded by Terry. Roll call vote, please.
Okay. Do we have to? Okay, is there a reason why you want that, John?
Because I'm remote, I think we have to do roll call votes. But maybe not, because as long as there's not a tie, I don't know. Bo, what do you think?
That's all right, no problem. Councilors Grambly.
Let's proceed with the vote.
Okay.
Councilors Grambly,
Aye.
Kroger,
Aye.
Lakin,
Aye.
Schuyler,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer,
Aye.
and me. Oh, not me. Never mind.
Okay. Rock on.
Okay, we are in closed session. It doesn't look like we have anybody else on, so take it away, Bo.
Great, thank you, Mayor. It is Wednesday, March 13th. The time is 5:33 p.m. For the record, I am the town attorney. As required by the open meetings law, this executive session is being electronically recorded. Also present at this executive session are the following persons. Turn it over to the room first.
Preston Neal. Terry Schuyler.
Beth Lakin.
J.T. Thomas. Russ Meyer.
Polly Kroger,
Kevin Grambly.
Pam Croft,
John
And
Clark
we
on
have
the line.
John Clark and Mr. Joseph Rivera online as well. This is an executive session pursuant to 24-6-4024B for the purpose of receiving legal advice on a specific legal question regarding the possible purchase and or condemnation of 539 Marion Overlook, Ridgway, Colorado. I caution each participant to confine all discussions to the stated purpose of the executive session, and that no formal action may occur in the executive session. If at any point in the executive session, any participant believes that this discussion is going outside the proper scope of the executive session, please interrupt the discussion and make an objection. As the attorney for the town of Ridgway, it is my position that the matter for the executive session constitutes privileged attorney-client communication. Therefore, I am recommending that no recording be kept of this portion of the executive session. The recording, okay. We have concluded the executive session as noticed on the agenda pursuant to 24-6-4024B for the purpose of receiving specific legal advice regarding the condemnation of 539 Marion Overlook, and with respect to 24-6-4024B for consultation with the town attorney and matters subject to negotiation regarding a temporary access agreement at Echo Properties. Participants at the executive session were as follows: Bo, Nerlin. Turn it over to the room.
Preston Neal, Terry Schuyler,
Beth Lakin.
JT Thomas, Russ Meyer,
Holly Kroger.
Kevin Grambly.
Sam Craft.
And John Clark.
And we had Mr. Joe Rivera with Murray Dahl during the first part of the executive session. If any participant believes that we went outside the proper scope of the executive session, please make their objection on the record in an open meeting. Hearing none, I will turn it back over to the mayor.
All right, thanks, Bo. Thanks, everybody. Why don't we'll wait a couple minutes to get it to 6 o'clock and people start coming in. Looks like already some people are coming in.
Yeah, Mike. Better. Okay. Hey, you know.
Yeah, like
I don't want to take that. Yeah, I don't either.
Because I used my last day at Telluride last weekend. So we'll probably like have a snow day.
Washing your
It'll,
car.
what's that?
Like washing your car. Yeah.
I just got their pass. Oh,
You could do this like 1,070.
oh, yeah, like that's doable. I was gonna say, if you can get it. I'm just always gone that last week of this season. Right, so.
Actually, she likes to go. So there's
Yeah. It's really good. Once you get that, but it can feel best if I'm doing that with 3, I'm always going to. Oh, I should ski all day.
surgeries and stuff. They haven't had a skin plus point. So how are you? They're still suffering. I can do things good. I just pay the price.
Like what percent would you say you're on? Like what percent? Yeah.
Functionally, pretty high. Pain wise, I'm still 70%.
Like it hurts to use them or like you're so.
No, after, well, I put salt braces on, compressions. I don't feel it while I'm doing it. I feel it next day. Try to sleep.
Okay, since it's 8 o'clock, why don't we go ahead and get into the regular meeting? Just so everybody knows that's just joined us either in the room or on Zoom. We had a short executive session at 5:30. We closed that out but we've already called the meeting to order. So now we'll just rejoin the regular meeting and I will ask if there are any additions or deletions to the agenda.
I have none.
No, sir.
Okay, that takes us to adoption of the consent calendar. Is there anything on there anybody wants to pull off? And if not, is there a motion to approve?
Consent agenda. Second.
Terry and Kevin.
All right, Terry made the motion, Kevin seconded. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Grambling,
Aye.
Kroger. Lakin. Schuyler.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye.
I didn't need to pull it
Okay,
out.
thank you.
I have a quick question. Pam, how much does it cost us for each glass for Love Your Valley Festival? Do you know what the per unit cost is, ish?
For each glass?
Yeah. The reason I'm asking is, have we thought about doing like a $2-3 discount to bring back your glass from a prior Love Your Valley festival? Because everybody in this town has a cabinet full of Love Your Valley glasses. And we could make the ones you just purchased last us for ages with just a simple $1 or $2 incentive. People would bring them and use them again.
Is it a mic?
Or we could just not buy glasses.
Or you could do that. But then I think then you have to provide just like plastic ones or whatever. So I'm not anti-buying cups for it. I just don't need to keep accumulating Love Your Valley cups. Or does everyone else in town?
Well,
Or second
and then
chance.
everybody has a right to say, I don't need one,
Okay.
I have a plastic one too.
Well, but,
When they
can I
come
just
in the entrance, then the thing is that they're gonna have to, we're gonna have to order glasses that are small enough, like we can't hand out a 16-ounce glass for the valley.
No,
so.
yeah.
Totally.
No, I understand. I don't mind actually ordering tasting glasses. I'm just saying, if we order tasting glasses and this chunk of tasting glasses lasts us for 5 years because most of us show up with an old tasting glass in our pocket from Love Your Valley. We just aren't printing and buying more than we need. Anyway, it doesn't have to be decided. It just occurred to me when I saw the glasses.
I think that's a
Yeah.
good question, and coincidentally, Pam and I were talking about this like maybe a week ago or two. But it was geared more towards a concert series. We were trying to check with CDPHE on what's kosher and what's not for reusing and like bringing in your own cups and stuff. We're exploring a nicer type cup for the concert series, provided that we're allowed to reuse those cups. And we've heard that like from the state that you're not allowed to do that for special events, and I don't know if that's.
But Uray
anecdotal,
doesn't.
but, sorry.
Sorry to step on you, but Uray has those Silplat cups that, like, if you buy a cup at the beginning of the season, you get X amount off of every beer, wine, whatever mixed drink purchased. And they're like the squishy cups, and they just like pour the drink.
I just-
And they get to reuse them?
Yeah.
I just bring it up with Love Your Valley because we're already reusing the glass throughout the event, so that one's a little more straightforward.
And the same with
Yeah.
Urain, it's not only buy it at the beginning of the season, use it. Chris has got one she bought 3 years ago. And she takes it down there and they're like, here you go.
Yeah, I take mine down there too.
Not a
'cause
problem. So
It's really nice.
I don't know what the state statute is, but they seem to be getting around it somehow.
Yeah, that might be our answer.
Can I suggest that the
It
staff
doesn't matter, I
just,
just brought it up.
That's good, it's good conversation.
What, John?
Go ahead, John.
can I suggest that we just direct staff to look into these questions and see what they can come up with the understanding that we're just trying to economize as well as encourage reuse where possible.
Absolutely.
Great. Enough on that one?
Yep.
Okay, that takes us to public comments. Time we set aside for anyone in the audience, either on Zoom or in person, to address us about something that's not otherwise on the agenda. Does anybody have anything? I see Kristen Arnold with her hand up on Zoom. Go ahead, Kristen.
Hi, my name is Kristen Arnold. I live on North Cora Street. And I just wanted to bring to light some challenges that I've faced this winter. I traditionally work as a mountain guide, but had a knee injury and had to have surgery in December. So I've been having to utilize crutches for a couple months to get around town. And it gave me a really good insight into how our town manages or local businesses manage the snow, like the shoveling of or the plowing of certain sidewalks around town. And I would say that I'm a pretty able-bodied person with a disability right now. And things that I experienced are piles of snow in front of and on the sidewalk in front of Mountain Market. Piles of snow blocking entry and exit from the ramps on the crosswalk to cross the road. And I guess I just wanted to call this to y'all's attention. I recognize that like this only affected me for a little bit of time, but I imagine that if I was a person with less ability to access places, it would really impede my ability to get around town. And so I just wonder if there's a way to enforce these rules or come up with a new fine system so that all people and all members of our community can access essential services and utilize our public right-of-ways. Thanks.
Thanks, Kristen. That's really valid point. I walk around town a lot and I'm not on crutches and I get frustrated by some of the piles that I have to navigate. So I think it's a good point. I think this is one of those classic things where we need to ask staff to look into the situation and see if they can get some of the issues you mentioned addressed. But I will certainly open it up to council if anybody else has anything they want to add.
I know
Thanks, Melissa.
we talked about this. We talked about this a little bit and maybe adding some additional teeth to our enforcement. But now would be a really good time to open those discussions so that those decisions aren't being made right before next winter season.
Yes.
And we would have the time in the fall to communicate any changes that were made to, you know, fines or whatnot around snow clearing. Kind of investigating that in early summer would be good timing so that no one felt blindsided by it.
And maybe changing protocols of where the cutouts are. Cause I know, like, I am able-bodied, but I have, you know, pushed strollers, pulled wagons, and like had tiny humans kind of behind me or in front of me, and those cutouts where the curb cutouts are dang near impossible to navigate, like to get up those with wheels.
Yeah, definitely an issue. Preston, do you have any thoughts, or do you want to just proceed, as I mentioned, have you and Public Works talk about it and see what we can do to address it?
Yeah, I think we have the direction to look into it and maybe come back to council with a conversation or some sort of work session about exploring additional regulations or rules of some sort of punitive measures. The messaging certainly has been up the last few years.
Yeah.
But that doesn't always work. So I think we have the direction to look at that here in the next several months.
Great, thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else want to make public comment, either in the room or on Zoom? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to public requests and presentations. Item number 5 is a proclamation about International Dark Sky Week. And I will just really quickly read this. I think, as everybody knows, we are very proud of our dark sky status. We've been working on creating sort of the atmosphere that was the foundation for getting dark sky community status. When we did, we've been working on the lighting changes and things like that for probably over a decade and a half now. But this is our annual proclamation proclaiming, proclaiming the week of April 2nd through the 8th, 2024 as International Dark Sky Week. Whereas the town of Ridgway was named a Dark Sky International Dark Sky Community in July of 20. And whereas the aesthetic beauty and wonder of a natural night sky is a shared heritage of all of humankind. And whereas light pollution has scientifically established economic and environmental consequences, which result in significant impacts to the ecology and human health of all communities. And whereas the town of Ridgway has shown exceptional dedication to the preservation of the night sky through implementation and enforcement of a quality outdoor lighting ordinance, dark sky education, and citizen support of the dark skies. And whereas the experience of standing beneath a starry night sky inspires feelings of wonder and awe and encourages a growing interest in science and nature, especially among young people and out-of-area visitors within the local communities. And whereas Dark Sky International recognizes April 2nd through 8th, 2024 as International Dark Sky Week. And whereas Dark Sky International is the globally recognized authority on light pollution and has created International Dark Sky Week to raise awareness of light pollution and provide free education, resources, and solutions to the public to encourage the protection and enjoyment of dark skies and responsible outdoor lighting. Now, therefore, be it proclaimed by the Town Council of the Town of Ridgway, Colorado, that 1, the Town of Ridgway honors and recognizes April 2nd through 8th, 2024 as International Dark Sky Week, and 2, the Town Council calls upon the citizens of Ridgway to observe this important week and raise awareness and support for protecting our precious dark sky resources. Dated this 13th day of March, 2024. Does anybody on council have comments or questions? Or is there a motion to put this into effect?
Quick question, but I would very much like this to go into effect. I have noticed that there are some businesses in town that have lights that I do not actually think are part of the dark sky mandate, and I'm pretty sure that was because they were not asked to retrofit their lights. And I'm wondering if that should be re-examined and whether we should have some conversations with local businesses about getting that to be completely dark sky.
When we became a dark sky community, we timed our joining under the older regulations that did not require you to have everyone go back and retrofit to meet it.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that because I just wrote down like, are there any pots of money or should we set aside some money where if a business or a residence wanted to update to the best, most current thing other than what they were approved under when they were built and okayed?
Yeah.
Could we have some sort of, either through us or we donate something to it and some community money where there would be some incentive to actually go back and fix some of those older things?
Because I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I really like the dark sky thing. I ask a lot of questions almost every month about that.
Yeah, there's definitely not only businesses, but some residences that have lights that aren't really in compliance. And I think this is another one that we probably need to have staff in the, believe the building inspector is our code enforcement officer, maybe ask him to go around and remind people that they need to be coming into compliance. I always tell people when anyone calls me directly with a concern about a porch light or something that their neighbors might have shining in their bedroom window, I always say, just go and talk to the neighbor first. That's always the best move, you know.
If they live there. Amen.
Well, that too. But anything you can do to reach out to them directly and, you know, politely, of course, to just inform them of the impact their light has on you. And I get it. Sometimes whether it's a business or a, I don't know, a short-term rental or something, might be harder to deal with. But in most cases, I think you can make a lot of progress just by reaching out to your neighbor. But we can certainly ask staff to look into this and try and freshen our enforcement.
We get comments and complaints, if you will, you know, maybe once every other month. And that's largely how we handle it. But as soon as we do, whether we have a property or a specific address, we go talk with them. And more often than not, they're more than willing to work with us and make adjustments. So if you have businesses in mind and don't want to communicate through the airwaves, you always.
I'll chat with you.
Staff.
You know, one I've noticed that was done in recent regulations is the new elementary school lights really light up all of River Park. And if you go out and stand at night, and I think they're compliant, it's just that it's higher elevation wise than the rest of town, so the light shines.
They're on like all throughout.
And the lights behind, it's either the school or the state shop light up that whole hill. They are coming down 62, it's lit up all the time, like a big lamp. But this goes to the issue of enforcement. I don't know exactly what you do.
Well, I think the way the statute was written, or the rules written, is that they were okay to change it, and I think they weren't supposed to have to change it until it failed. That's not necessarily bulb failure, but it's fixture failure, attrition, which, you know, that could last for a long time, so.
But we made progress. The high school is better than it used to be.
That was a major issue.
Not perfect, better.
Okay,
Okay, well, is there?
I move to declare this international I move to proclaim the week of April 2nd through the 8th as International Dark Sky Week in the town of Ridgway.
Seconded.
Okay, sounds like motion made by Beth, seconded by Polly. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Graham,
Aye.
Crowther,
Aye.
Lakin.
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
aye.
All right, thanks, everybody. That takes us to a number of policy matters. Item number 6 is resolution number 24-06, supporting the operation of San Miguel Authority for regional transportation commuter operation of a San Miguel Authority for Regional Transportation commuter bus route within the town of Ridgway. Preston.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So we have Ms. Carrie DeStefano and I believe Mr. David Averill here with us. They're with San Miguel Authority for Regional Transportation. They're going to talk about a new commuter bus service between Telluride and Montrose with a stop at Ridgway. And ultimately, I think they're seeking support for that new service.
Hi, folks.
Great.
Thank you. My name is Carrie DeStefano. I'm the San Miguel Authority Regional Transportation Operations Manager. David Averill is on Zoom and he's the executive director. And I'm happy to answer any questions, but just to start with a little background, in our strategic operating plan of about 5 years ago, it was recommended that there was a route from Montrose to Telluride with a stop at Ridgway. And this is based on not only anecdotal evidence we have of people asking for that route, but also a van pool we have from Ridgway currently that carries between 6 and 8 people, depending on what day it is. But also some information from the American Community Survey, which suggests there are at least 300 people commuting from the Ridgeway, from Uray County to the Telluride region, the east end of Telluride. And our plan currently is to leave Montrose at 5:50. That would get us to Ridgway about, I guess, 6:30, and then continue on to Telluride, with the idea being that we would get commuters there by 8 o'clock. So in the morning, and then again, it would leave in the evening from Telluride at 5 o'clock. So again, you know, the idea is that we take care of the commuters that are traveling into the east end of San Miguel County for work. Dave, do you have anything to add? I see.
No, sorry, I'm fumbling around on Zoom. I think that covers it really. Yeah, we're just super excited to roll out a new service. And when we do that, we want to go and ask permission from the jurisdictions that we're operating in to do so. So that's kind of why we're here today. No ask for financial support or anything like that. It's just simply, do you mind us driving those buses through town and making a stop? I guess is the question at hand.
And is that stop over by?
Yeah, right now, what we have is the stop near the Family Dollar, the same one the Mustang is. We would really like to push CDOT to revisit that and kind of explore some alternatives, because we understand that most of the population that would probably be using the buses is a lot closer. And, you know, ideally, most of the residents of Ridgway that might want to use it would be able to walk to the bus stop. Right now, it's challenging. We've looked, our contractors are Telluride Express, and we've looked at behind the library and turning around. The challenge is pulling our 40-foot bus in and out of traffic during rush hour, because I'm sure you guys are all aware of that, or figuring out a better way to do it. And we actually chatted with Preston, and we're all still scratching our heads a little bit about that. So initially, yeah, we're going to be starting with the same last dollar, with the hope of making it more convenient for people.
I just think about the spot on Laura Street across from Space to Create. There's the spots on the east side. On the west side, you could come in down Lena in front of Colorado Boy, make the loop, and come in, point with a bus pointing back south on Laura Street. You'd be right there in the historic business core.
I actually have a Google Maps, and I could take a look at that.
So just because you're going to run into eventually parking issues if you
Yeah.
don't make it so people can walk.
Right. We're
Just-
happy to take a look at that, because like I said, we've been working to reevaluate the stop situation. Initially, it is probably gonna have to.
Yeah, because I think there's only 4 parking spots
Talking
there.
about going out to 62 on Laura.
Yeah,
It's on that right-hand
yeah,
side.
yeah, because there's only a few parking spots there. And you're just close to a lot of things. It would be right in Ridgway proper.
And you have all those hidden spots on the other side of the.
Yep, and you have the hidden spots,
Yeah,
but if you took the parallel spots off the west side,
that.
Crazy. With a 40-foot bus doing a loop through downtown.
well, but that early in the morning, they're gonna be making a loop onto Railroad anyway. They're gonna be going
Well,
down.
no, we looked at railroad,
Oh.
the bus thing goes out
Yeah.
to the Family Dollar.
No.
The 40-foot bus, that's what we've calculated we're gonna need, because we have a
That's awesome.
pretty high. There's a lot of people from Montrose that wanna use it, and I think we'll pick up a fair number from Ridgway, but again, we are continuing to examine that, and yeah, that's a thought, we can look at it, we
Wanna
can
buy
try it.
some coffee? Would be another great spot.
Where
That's
the top,
another
yeah,
spot we talked about too. And
yeah,
they're not alone. CDOT grapples with this a
Yeah.
lot. Hopefully, it's gonna come to a head at some point, I think.
I just don't wanna see you have less ridership than you otherwise would have when
Yeah.
people are warming up their cars to drive over to try to find parking by Family Dollar. Yeah,
I know, it's a challenge, and like I said, ideally, we'd have people walking, but, that's something we're gonna have to keep working at.
David, this is Terry Schuyler, formerly of SMPA.
Oh, hey,
Been looking into this
Terry.
before, but have you given any consideration to an electric bus? Is that a practical solution, a possible solution?
not at this point, no. The grades that we're pulling and the way those big, large buses are operating, it's not really a feasible option for us at this point. Although, the buses that we got for this service and replacement buses for some other stuff that we're doing, or other services throughout the region, or I'm guessing they'll probably be our last diesel buses. So I think we could probably get on a path at some point to electrify, but right now it doesn't make a lot of business sense for us still.
Cool, at least it's on your radar.
this sounds great, like. Really
The
excited.
concept sounds great, and it sounds like you're trying to rework the parking, and
Yeah.
that would be an obvious awesome thing to get done, so I don't see any issues with going forward with this.
It'd be a great service.
No, I think it's great. The only question I had is that I just recently noticed on a trip to Montrose that you guys are, I'm guessing it's the same entity, but these are full-size, like Greyhound size buses?
Just about. They're 40-foot, typical urban transit bus. They're not, a Greyhound bus is considered an over-the-road coach, and they're usually 45-foot long. These are
Okay.
40-foot. Gillig is the manufacturer, made in Hayward, California. Pretty much just the industry standard. I mean, we did
They're
some
not
different
vans,
things for
they're
these.
buses.
What's
Yeah.
that?
They're not vans, they're buses.
They're full-blown buses, yeah. And we
Yeah,
did
right.
add some, more comfortable seats and luggage racks and USB ports for this batch and stuff like that. So hopefully there's some amenities that make the ride a little more tolerable for folks.
That's great. No, I'm excited. I think that'll be another feather in our cap for multimodal transportation for sure.
Just out of curiosity, what's the fare cost?
We have not settled on a fare. It will be cheaper than Mustang and probably, well, cheaper than Mustang and more expensive than Norwood. It's likely, right now we're doing an update to our strategic operating plan. And one of the things we're looking at is fares. It will likely be based on mileage and with thought given with the low fare preference given to people that are actually in the SMART region, which is basically the Telluride R1 school district, excluding Ophir and Saw Pit. But yeah, our goal is to make it affordable.
Okay, do you, on the front end here, do you end up working with the employers up there as well? To see if they can
Well,
incentivize their.
yeah.
Does that become difficult?
Yeah, I mean, one thing right now, like the Mountain Village does for our van pools, they have that, I can't think of what they call it, but they can buy it and it's pre-tax. That's one idea. Yeah, the other idea would be just flat out ask them for a subsidy to help their employees out, because I mean, our goal also is to get cars off the road, so that it has been discussed.
I was just wondering what mechanism enters
I was just gonna interject real quick. Part of the strategy is to price this thing so that it's cheaper than driving by yourself. Or maybe even cheaper than driving with a friend, and well below the Mustang charge. We're kind of looking for that sweet spot. Just to
Great.
kind of throw in that, that's kind of how we're thinking about it.
Have you guys heard that we're finally getting our way bus? This is a van, but we got a CDOT multimodal grant to do a bus between Montrose and Ridgway and Uray in the back.
I had heard about that. I'm glad to hear that All Points found a vehicle.
Yeah, yeah. The grant basically paid for most of the vehicle, and it's just got started at the beginning of March, and
Cool.
It's kind of in trial mode, but I think it's going to be great.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. All the cars we can take off the road, everybody will be happier, I think. Does anybody else have any questions? Oh.
Is it open?
Hi, Jake Neese, Mike, or actually, is there, I don't see a mic there.
This, right?
Hi, Jake Neese, also a county commissioner. And I was wondering if there's an opportunity to coordinate the Our Way shuttle with SMART. I think we've tossed this idea around in the past, but now with 2 bus or van services coming through Ridgway, I'm wondering if there's an opportunity to coordinate or reduce redundancies.
If you could give us, if you could email your schedule, we can certainly take a look at that. Hope maybe it's always a little tricky because, but we have been able to coordinate fairly well with bus thing, so it's a possibility, but we need to know what your schedule is kind of looking on.
Great. Anybody else have questions or comments? Hearing none, somebody want to make a motion?
I'll move to approve the resolution that town council of the town of Ridgway, Colorado, supporting the Operation San Miguel Authority for regional transportation commuter bus route within the town of Ridgway. Resolution 2406.
Second.
Was that Kevin seconding?
Yep.
So motion made by Russ, seconded by Kevin. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Scrambley,
Aye.
Kroger,
Aye.
Laketon,
I'm
Skylar,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Minor.
Aye.
Great,
Thank
thanks,
you.
everybody.
We appreciate
Thank you,
it.
guys.
Yeah, thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Appreciate y'all.
Thanks for being here.
See ya.
Is there with the next file? I can't access the next file.
You can't access what, I'm sorry.
Number 7.
Oh,
Why did
It says you couldn't load file, and there's a picture of a cat in a box. Tell me.
try quitting Horseman or Dropbox and reopen it.
It's been this way for a couple days.
Did you try opening the packet, like the collated packet?
This isn't, oh, no, I didn't. It's looking at it separately, so.
Try. Here you go. I fixed it. Good job, Holly.
If John were here, he'd be very proud.
Are you proud of me?
I'm not hearing very clearly. Russ can't open the file.
Dang it, I just needed your credit.
Fine, kudos.
She Mac doctored the PC thing.
I Mac doctored.
Good, you got it fixed? Awesome. All right, so the next item on the agenda is item number 7, review and action on right of offer agreement between the town of Ridgway and Firehouse Investment Real Estate LLC.
Thank you, Mayor. This one is exciting. Before you is a right of first offer agreement between Firehouse Investment Real Estate LLC, acronym FIRE, and also between them and the town of Ridgway. If approved, it would grant the town a right of first offer to purchase Unit D, which falls within the Firehouse project right over here. The right to purchase in accordance with the terms and conditions set forth in the agreement. It does not create an obligation for Firehouse Investment Real Estate to sell Unit D to the town, or the town to purchase Unit D. It simply establishes the requirement for Firehouse before marketing the unit to a wider audience to offer to sell Unit D to the town at a commercially reasonable sales price. Unit D is comprised of 4 residential units at varying square footages that once finished here in the short term, they'll be rented to community members at a below market or an affordable rental rate. We have Mr. Patrick O'Leary on the Zoom, I think, to talk about his willingness to enter into this agreement with the town. Very, very kind. And to talk more about Unit D.
All right, Patrick, you want to?
Yes,
in?
I'll just come in and say that working with Preston, Town Manager Preston, was very easy and very respectful in both directions. I stated at the beginning of our conversations that I believe in supporting affordable housing here in our community. I think I have done my part, and so I am unwilling to go beyond offering this right of first offer on any other basis than what is has been written here in the document you're looking at. I'm looking at a red line, but it's just to be a personal agreement between myself as the owner and sole manager of Fire LLC. So you don't always have to say Firehouse Investment Real Estate, guys. You can just say Fire. And it is an obligation on me to come to the town if I'm going to be selling condo unit D, and give the town the first right of offer based on the offer terms that I provide. And in the end, I want to do that. I think 20 years is reasonable life expectancy for myself. And to go beyond that would really encumber my estate. And so, as I say, I'm interested in bringing it forward to the town prior to marketing the property, and clear that obligation with a yes from the town or any other entity that comes forward recommended by the town of Ridgway, who is actively managing affordable housing in our community, our county. So with that, I also say that I do not want to have this to be a recorded document. I want it to be an obligation of honor and respect, and not, again, encumber my estate into the future with it, because the complexity of my capital stack, if you will, has several lenders involved. And one of those entities is the state of Colorado with the CPACE loan that becomes a 25-year tax obligation, but it's also a 25-year commitment of funds upfront at the beginning of the project, and appears as a special assessment on each of the 4 condominiums. Is the 2 residential units on the top floors were excluded from the CPACE loan. So I received the CPACE loan. I feel it's an obligation on my part to try to see if it makes economic sense 15 years out to come to the town and make that offer. You betcha I'll be making that offer. And I will try to see that through to a sale so that we retain those affordable workforce housing units in the core of the town, in the HBD, which I believe is really important to the town. So with that, I'll just say I'm comfortable with signing the document that's here. And I will make sure that I always pay attention to the fact that I begin a marketing process with giving the opportunity to the town of Ridgway to step in. And it may be that they substitute with another competent buyer that can evidence that they have the resources to get to the closing table. So that's pretty much what I have to say, and I'll stay on.
Great, thanks, Patrick. Does anybody have any questions for either staff or Patrick on this?
I think it's a generous offer, extremely generous.
Town is lucky to have you, Patrick.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't know who that was, but it's okay. Thank you.
That was Kevin giving you the props.
Oh,
And
thank you,
likewise,
thank you, sir.
it's very generous. I have one question, just and it's just in your summary at the very end of it, it says at a commercially reasonable sales price. Is that then done based upon comps with commercial space, or was that intended to be marked at residential space?
Well, it's really it is commercial in the real estate realm. Market rate apartments are considered a commercial real estate holding. It is treated as such by most of the major real estate organizations. There will be comps for, our comps will be more like smaller residential apartment buildings, multi-tenant.
You did mention the town or any other organization dedicated to housing in the area. I don't see that reflected in this actual text of the agreement anywhere. I think that is an important flexibility for us to consider. I think the town, if we were in a position to, would certainly consider purchasing, but we are also living in a county with a home trust currently, and thinking about that flexibility in maintaining workforce housing. So you said it, I just don't see it in the words.
I believe you're right. Although there was much talk surrounding that, Preston, and I am not opposed to putting some language in that says that if the town of Ridgway brings forward a viable tenant, a viable buyer that is specifically operating in our county already, and or an organization that wants to come in and help affordable housing be retained. So I'm amenable to the languages going in. I think Preston and I and Bo and my advisor can work that out if that's truly needed. I really do want to see this remain affordable housing in the town core.
Yeah, I think, and if that's the case, again, I hope town should be in a position to purchase at that point. But leaving it open to some housing partners of town, and I'll let staff work on, and your advisors work on that language. But I think that gives us the best opportunity to assure you that we may be in the position to make that happen.
Well, I would be delighted if that was the nonprofit entity home trust of Uray County. I would be delighted. So I would not be opposed to that. I think you can trust me on this one, guys, but if you all feel it's critically important to add that language, Preston and I will work on something that we can agree upon.
I think that's a good best practice. I trust you, Pat. I just, sometimes as years go by, it's nice to have that memorialized.
Right. Ronald Reagan. Trust,
That's who I was
but cut the cards.
Yes.
Cut the cards. I don't see that it would be a problem to insert the right language.
Cool.
We could do a conditional motion to approve with that mention of that edit to be negotiated, to be worked out between staff and Mr. O'Leary.
I'll make the motion to approve that condition.
A second.
Who made the second?
I don't know, Russ and I did take your pick. Russ can have it.
Motion made by Terry, seconded by Russ. Roll call vote, please.
I did like that.
Councilmember Graham-Lee,
Aye.
Kirkland,
I,
Bacon,
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye.
Great, thanks, everybody. And Patrick, I want to also reiterate how generous this is of you. A lot of this comes out of some comments I made at the Planning Commission meeting in reviewing the plat, and you know me well, you know how important housing is to me and our community. So we all just really thank you from the bottom of our heart for all your efforts on behalf of the town, but about this particularly at this point for sure. So thank you.
I appreciate the appreciation.
Thank you.
Okay.
thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
All right, that brings us to item number 8, review and action on temporary access agreement between the town of Ridgway, Echo Properties Corp., Ridgway Depot Funding LLC, Ridgway Railroad Museum, and Uray County Ranch History Museum. Bo.
Thank you, Mayor. So included in this packet before the council is a proposed temporary access agreement, which would provide access to the Ridgway Ranch History Museum and the Ridgway Railroad Museum. It's got a 1-year term, and the access points would be similar to the existing access points for those facilities. This is an agreement which the town has entered into with the tenants and the landowner in the past. And this is just the town's effort to extend that relationship.
Great, thank you. Any questions from council for either Bo or staff on this? Okay, any questions or comments in the audience?
Yes, hold on, nudge.
Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion?
Yes,
No,
John.
Stepping up.
Oops, I'll hold, should I?
No, no.
I'm here, John. Joan Chismeyer with the Uray County Ranch History Museum. Just wanted to say that we appreciate you guys considering a temporary access agreement for us again this year. Both museums will continue to try to request permanent access from town council and or leased acreage across the street from where we are now until we secure a permanent access permit off Railroad Street. We're now past our 5-year mark on temporary access. This issue of access to our property has been a nightmare for both museums as we continue to negotiate for permanent access with the town. With the temporary access designation, the town continues to hinder and hurt our ability to move forward on specific projects, as well as the fundraising for those projects. With this encumbrance, we cannot move forward on a capital campaign. Time is of the essence for this access dilemma to be rectified, as costs already have doubled since we first shared our vision for the combined railroad and experiential ranch museum complex with the town. That was with Jen Coates, and Shay had just started working for the town at the time. What we are preserving, creating and adding to Ridgway and our community costs the town nothing. The museums highlight our heritage and contribute to our economic development and our civic capital. These are some of the requirements CCI or Colorado Creative Industries certifies for becoming a creative district. Thank you. Or should I stay up there or what? I don't know.
Unless there's questions.
Delia.
I guess I would, I'm not hearing any comments in the room there. For my part, I would throw out that we are just continuing to try and get some movement from the partners on this agreement to make sure we get trail access. And we're still positioned that if we don't get trail access as a part of this agreement, we might not ever get it again. So that's the position we're taking, and we continue to try and get Mr. Pauls to the table, and I keep hearing that that's closer and closer, and I don't like how long this is dragging on any more than you do, Joan, as you know, but I feel like we have to kind of stick it out until we can get this resolved to everybody's satisfaction. And there's always the chance that you're the property owner on your side of the table could make a concession just as much as you're asking us to make a concession. So I continue to hope that we can resolve it soon, and I will continue to make all the efforts I can to get Mr. Pauls to the table, and we'll see what we can do. Anybody else have anything you want to add?
I think we're in a similar position of trying to look out for our long-term interests, and the town is really invested in the recreational access to go along with honoring our ranch and railroad history. It is all part of Ridgway.
Yeah, and I've said this many times before, but in no way does our sticking to our guns on this point in any way represent that we are not fully supportive of both the Ranch History Museum and the Railroad Museum. We recognize how valuable they are to the community, and we support them 100%. But this is a negotiation issue that I think we just feel really strongly about, and we'd like to see it resolved to everyone's benefit. So we'll keep trying. Any other comments from either anybody on Zoom or in the room there? Someone want to make a motion?
I move to approve the temporary access agreement between Echo Properties and Town of Ridgway.
Second.
All right, motion made by Beth, seconded by Terry. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Scrambley.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Lakin.
Aye.
Skylar.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye.
Great, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, guys.
That takes us to item number 9, notice of award for the Green Street Park Master Plan Project. Preston, sorry.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So before you is a notice of award for the Green Street Park Master Plan Project. We received 3 proposals in response to the RFP. Those proposals were due March 1st. An ad hoc review committee met late last week, I think it was Thursday, to collectively review what had been submitted to the town and make a collective recommendation to you all, the town council. And as a result of that, recommendation from that ad hoc review committee is to enter into a professional services agreement with Super Blue, a landscape architecture firm out of Denver. They specialize in large scale landscape vision planning and design. Speaking on behalf of the committee, and anyone else feel welcome to chime in. Very impressed with their overall proposal and meeting the criteria laid out, pretty specifically laid out in the RFP, and everyone seemed genuinely excited about working with them. Really important project for the town. So I think we have Ms. Stacy Passmore, principal and co-founder of Super Bloom, on Zoom. There we go, unmuted. She can answer any questions you all may have or provide some more information about her firm.
Thank you so much, Preston, and happy to answer any specific questions, but as Preston said, we are a landscape architecture firm. We work on projects of all sizes, from 500 square feet to hundreds of acres. We're working across the state of Colorado. We have many projects actually in more the Telluride, the town of Telluride. We have several residential projects there, but we're also we've been working with San Miguel County on a 1 acre park, kind of on the highway there, 145 outside of town. And I actually used to live in the Telluride area many years ago for about 6 years, and I work for an architect. So we're familiar with the area, not total strangers, and very passionate about sustainable landscapes and agriculture and how we can merge those into new types of public space and really exciting public parks. So we're really excited about working with you and learning more about your vision for the project. And also we're collaborating as well with Natalie Pettyjohn, who is a landscape architect in Grand Junction. So we have a colleague who is, close by. If we do, we're going to come out several times to meet with you in person from Denver, but she'll also be, a little bit closer if we do need to do any kind of quicker follow-ups.
That's great. Thanks, Stacy. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Does anybody else have questions for Stacy?
Well, looking forward to another great master planning process following up on the. I'm not being sarcastic, girl, giggling. No, I truly really liked that last project. I liked it.
Stacy, I was
Oh, no,
impressed
I
with
have,
the grasp of the vision and the concept that we're looking to achieve, and some of your prior experience prove that you've got the chops for this kind of an effort. So, really
Great.
we're reviewing it.
Great. Yeah. Thank you.
and I have to say, I was really psyched that we have an all-female group coming to do this. That's
That's
very, very impressive, and I always think that's a good thing to see. So
Thank you.
looking forward to working with you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, we're super excited.
Well,
And,
go ahead. Zoom is terrible.
oh yeah, go for it.
if you would go ahead, I was gonna move to accept the agreement, but.
I think we're ready.
Well, I moved to authorize staff to enter into a professional services agreement with Super Blue for the Green Street Park Master Plan Project.
Seconded. I said it first and louder.
We have our two female counselors chiming in favor of the all-female team. I love it. All right, motion's been made and seconded. Motion made by Beth, seconded by Polly. All in favor? Sorry, roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Scrambley.
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Bacon.
Aye.
Schuyler.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye.
Great, thank you. Welcome aboard, Stacy.
All right, well, see you guys very soon.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Have a good night. Bye.
Good night. Okay, moving right along. That takes us to item number 10, presentation and discussion regarding the development of an agreement with the Home Trust of Uray County for housing services, discussion regarding other affordable housing initiatives. Jake, you can take this.
Yes. Hello. Hi, Jacob. Can I share my screen for the presentation?
You can share your screen for the presentation.
Right. There it is. Right. Hello, everyone. I am here wearing two hats. I am on the board of the Home Trust. I'm also the Uray County Commissioner, but the way we have it structured is that each local government has a representative on the board of the Home Trust representing the interests of that government. So Preston is your representative on the board of the Home Trust representing Ridgway's interests. I'm the representative of Uray County on the board of the Home Trust representing Uray County's interests, which I think are pretty closely aligned. So I'm giving this presentation One, because it is a top topic of interest for me and a goal for me as a commissioner, but also because Andrea's away and couldn't make it. She normally would be here to answer questions, but you've just got me today. So I believe that this proposed agreement is in the best interest of not just the county, but also the town and the city. And I'll get into more details on why I believe that. So here's the mission of the Home Trust. You've heard it before, but there it is. It's been in operation since 2021 with a growing budget. And real quickly, how we got here, you know that we exist in a gap of services. And originally I did look into a housing authority, and there was a housing authority in Uray County in the past. That was, I believe, not set up to succeed. And in fact, it didn't. It reverted to an advisory board and then was shut down. And that's a big reason why I and Andrea and other folks, we decided to pursue a nonprofit model because the housing authority was attempted, it didn't work out. So how do we get around that process? Now, today we may be able, with different folks in positions of power, we might be able to set up a housing authority that could succeed, but even if we did that, it would move slow. If we had tried to do a housing authority starting in 2021, we might be trying to hire or just onboard an executive director right now. In the meantime, you've seen what the Home Trust has been able to accomplish. So I want to keep going with this model because it's been successful so far. So here's our current board of directors, and I wanted to go over our board just because the organization has really grown and professionalized. So I'm going to run through all these folks and tell you about some of their qualifications. So Alex Durham is the president of the board of Home Trust. She's the executive director at Voyager, and she's also on the Access Health Board. So she brings a lot of nonprofit operations experience and prior board experience. Shirley Diaz was a prior executive director of the San Miguel Housing Authority for 12 years. She was a member of the old Uray County Housing Advisory Board that was never funded, and she's also currently a housing development specialist at DOLA. Jeannie Jamber is, she was a previous COO and CFO at a private equity real estate company, some other startups, and she started her own real estate investment firm. She holds a CPA and brings a lot of financial management experience to the board. Mark Hitchcox is a longtime Uray resident and realtor, and he's a prior city council member. Jody Brown is a third grade teacher at Ridgway Elementary School. She serves on other boards and on the school district's accountability and staff retention committee. And she's an example of a person who we'd like to keep in our community, but who faces housing challenges. Craig Spearman is a Ridgway High School teacher, and he lives in one of the Wetterhorn homes. He was previously commuting here from Montrose, and he's another example of the type of person we want to keep here in the community. Josh Smith, who you probably know, he is the city's representative, and then of course Preston and myself. So we've got a pretty broad range of experience on the board of directors. We've also beefed up the staff and contract services. So in-house staff, I think you're all familiar with Andrea Sokolowski, our executive director, but our second employee is Kelly Gooden. She is the director of community outreach and partnerships, and she was the executive director of Second Chance for 18 years. So that brings even more local nonprofit experience in-house. And she's also got an education and background in behavioral health and community development within marginalized communities, which is really helpful with the groups that we're working with. We've got a contract attorney who specializes in community land trusts. We also use Think Sharp Consulting for grant searches and grant writing. And we've got a contract bookkeeper and property manager as well. So why use the Home Trust? Went over this a little bit already, but I went through the board and staff to demonstrate that this organization is already up and running, and it has the ability to grow if we have commitment and partnership from the local governments. Got a lot of services contracted, but if there were more services that that the Home Trust was able to provide, they could bring that in-house. Another big aspect of why the home trust is attractive is that it's locally controlled. We've taken pains to make sure that there is a lot of community outreach and engagement, including your representative on the board. And the home trust has already demonstrated people's generosity and willingness to donate to a housing nonprofit. I think there's less spirit to give money and time and land to a government-run entity like a housing authority. So now getting into the meat of things, there are three categories of services that the home trust could offer. Right now, it's mostly been acting as a developer. That's that middle category, but it could also offer deed restriction and property management services and program services. So to start out with that first category, in short, this is administration. So that looks like checking applicant qualifications for sales and rentals, performing lotteries, ongoing enforcement, grant administration, a local presence, including a physical office eventually here in the Ridgway Sherman Street building, ability to do on-site inspections. Those are all services that the home trust is capable of providing to projects beyond just the ones that it's developing. The next one is housing development. That's what the home trust mostly has been doing, but it can keep doing that. You can see the style of community involvement from both the Riverwalk project in Uray and also the Sherman Street project here in town. We're doing stakeholder outreach at the very early planning stages so that people can actually provide input and we can still make adjustments rather than bringing a finished product and hoping for approval. So that's one of the real key points that I wanted to get across is just that collaboration, and it would take any kind of project management off the hands of staff. And finally, program creation and operation. There's a lot here. I took this straight out of the master plan. There's a lot in the master plan about housing, about developing different kind of programs like multi-generational housing. And these are the types of things that the home trust could help the town set up. These are all specific to the town here that I copied and pasted right out of the master plan. And then here's some other programs that aren't specifically in the town's master plan, but that the home trust could also facilitate, like doing those housing needs assessments that all the grants want a current version of, keeping an inventory of everything, all the deed restricted houses. You can read all that. Next, moving on to the financial benefits. Basically, we'd be sharing full-time employees while only paying for part-time. Why duplicate or triplicate efforts if we can share folks between the three local governments? That way the home trust can offer full-time pay, benefits, a career advancement path to people, and you don't have to worry about trying to hire part-time people, and the town doesn't have to worry about onboarding or anything like that. So finally, next steps. We need the council to determine what services it wants. This is the third presentation. I've already given this presentation to the county and city. And the ask is to come back to the home trust with the services that the town thinks it would want the home trust to do. And then take all of those three separate desires from the city, the county, and the town, and get together by the end of June in a joint work session with all three local governments. And the goal is to perhaps settle on one master list of services, or some of the conversation I heard actually really from the county was that maybe we would split up what services the governments would contract with. But I think all three governments should get together and compare notes on what we would want this organization to do. And the goal of that really is to put together a contract or an MOU or purchase of services agreement, whatever the attorneys think is best, and get that ready for incorporation into the 2025 budget so that the home trust can start providing those services in 2025. So that's it for the presentation. I also included a document that has a checklist of services, and that is not comprehensive. That's in your packet. That's not comprehensive, and things can be changed, and some of those things might be a little vague. And what we need your help with is getting more specific, making sure that we didn't miss any services, letting us know what services the town doesn't need. So really just feedback on that document to refine it. And then once I get feedback on that from all three governments, I'll send it back out to everyone for another round of work session, maybe individually before the May or June community work session. So that's all I've got. Questions?
Great, thanks, Jake. Yeah, who's got questions for Jake?
Services.
Well, I know I'd like to see you do lotteries going forward. That was exactly what I was gonna say.
And I understand there's with the rural homes projects, there's a board that has to exist. And there was discussion at the city mostly about about how that would work, because if the home trust is contracted for services, then board members of the home trust and anyone involved with the home trust probably wouldn't want to be on that housing selection committee. Is that what it's called?
It's appointed the Workforce and Affordable Housing Committee, and it's the town council.
It's the town council here. Okay. So that seems like a cleaner solution than what the city is trying to come up with, because they're looking for participants from the county and different segments of the population. So I understand that presents kind of an immediate need to the town and to the city, but that's a place where you and I think Bo will have to determine what the town legally needs to do according to that contract that you've signed with Rural Homes, and what you could outsource if you want to.
Something that really speaks to me is the grant application administration and reporting. I know that that's something that we've discussed pretty extensively, that town needs, it just doesn't have the staffing available. So that would be a really appealing thing to me, this draft services matrix.
Or housing related grant opportunities.
Yeah.
I also think something that I'm not sure exactly where this fits in, but it's starting to have a central place within the county for people to go for housing information versus going to the county, going to the town, going to the city. Hey, yeah, okay, we're looking at this. You are going to be looking at this upcoming opportunity in the town of Ridgway. Would you be interested? Because I think people want opportunities, but from what I've heard, they're like, oh, it just seemed overwhelming. And the whole thing, where do I go and how did I find out about it? And a little bit of a central hub would be really useful. Yeah.
Clearinghouse, yeah.
You mean the organization itself, or the fact that they're gonna have physical location?
No, I mean the organization. They don't even need a physical location to be that hub. It's just if I'm, pick up the phone and make this phone call. I can be on their mailing list.
And the Home Trust has attempted to serve, it could certainly make more strides to serve as that clearinghouse. Jake, I think it was you, maybe about a year ago, you had a page set up with all the affordable housing developments around the county.
That page is still active. It does need to be updated. That's something that I personally put together, and that speaks to the need for staff to be able to update that as it goes along. So yeah, that is about a year old, but there is a clearinghouse on the Home Trust website now.
I think
Well, for my part, I've always thought that the Home Trust could be a great potential for dealing with a lot of the things we're talking about and keeping us from having to have a formal housing trust. So I'm certainly open to exploring this.
Same.
And this is just a foundational conversation. Some initial direction would be good, and we're already starting to get that. Jake, maybe you already talked to it and I missed it. I did, sorry, but it might be helpful to get some context about what the city conversation was compared and maybe the county as well. And that could inform, you know, thoughts, especially as we go towards that joint community meeting, whatever we want to call it, in May or June or whatever we're planning that for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the city, I think they were looking for more recommendations. I was looking for feedback from them and they didn't have a lot of it yet. And maybe the Home Trust might be doing a little too much engagement because it seems like there was an appetite for give us something a lot more firm. And I was trying to come from a place of not trying to shove anything down anyone's throat. The conversation at the county, one commissioner did bring up the idea of a housing authority again. I've expressed where I'm at with the housing authority. There could be some cases where that could be useful, but honestly, when you have a housing authority, you have to fund it. And I just don't know that the voters in the county are going to be receptive to a new tax question. And so the Home Trust has been growing on contributions and private contributions and small contributions from the governments. And I was really hoping not to have to ask the voters for a ballot question to fund a housing authority. So that conversation is there. There was also, I did pitch the idea of having one master agreement between all three governments, and the county in general seems like, well, there was a difference of opinion among the commissioners, and there was one, there was a concept of having a different agreement for the county, because the county doesn't, all the projects are in the municipalities. And so the county wouldn't really be contracting for as many services as the municipalities would. So that was the conversation. It was in a work session, so there weren't any decisions. And I think that is the type of thing that we could talk about at the big work session with all three local governments.
Jake, besides the difference in the funding mechanisms, what would be the structural or functional difference between a housing authority and all the various services that this structure provides? I mean, what are the pros and cons, the high level pros and cons? I'm sure there's many of them.
Well, the biggest difference between the nonprofit community land trust and a housing authority is that the housing authority can levy a tax. There is also, say, governmental immunity. But most of the things that we need to do, a nonprofit can do. The nonprofit can do almost all of what a housing authority can do. There's just less red tape.
I think that's a good way to put it. And do you have a follow-up? I don't want to.
No, I was just curious, you know, why the one commissioner would be suggesting that avenue if there weren't significant functional differences besides the ability to levy tax, which, you know, they'd have to levy taxes to create themselves, I would think.
That's correct, yeah. I believe the statute requires that if you set up a housing authority, you need to have a funding mechanism for it. And so I just wasn't ever confident that we could get that.
And I attended that work session at the county. I was on Zoom. And that was Commissioner Padgett who talked at length about the option for a housing authority, just given the history and such. And I thought it was a great conversation. There were also, I shouldn't say reservations, but discussion about the county meeting its procurement policy and going about it the right way. And we all have procurement policies and need to navigate that. So, but I thought that was a good element to think through. And Leo was gonna, I think he was gonna do some research. I can't remember, but.
Yeah, I need to spend a little more time with the statute on that. We just have to be careful not to do a sole source contract and pick a vendor ahead of time. But the whole reason for the creation of the home trust is because those vendors to provide these services do not exist here. So we can put out a request for proposals, and if there is another organization that can do a better job for cheaper, great. But I'm not aware of any such organization.
I'll make one more comment just to piggyback on what you were saying, and great presentation, by the way. Over the last few years, contributions from the government agencies has been somewhat arbitrary, right? I mean, not data driven and, you know, just not data driven, which is fine. And we were in a strategic planning retreat, I think in the fall, in September or October. And that's when this discussion really started to happen, is what I recall. That all of us on the board, especially you, myself, Josh, and Andrew, Kelly, everyone was there, but really came to this point of, you know, the home trust has come a long way and could certainly do a lot more. Well, we need to have these conversations with everybody in an open forum to figure out where we want to go. Where do you want to take the home trust? Do you want to go a different direction? Because the home trust needs to know sooner rather than later. If ultimately the direction or the desire is to go, you know, a housing authority route, which is totally different, and a lot of different formalities that go with it, as Jake was saying. So I'm just trying to kind of come back and lay out how we've gotten to this point and what we're really looking for from not just you all, but county commissioners, your city council members, figure out how collectively we want to move forward. Our needs are going to be different than your A's. Maybe some of them will be overlap and be the same. Our needs are going to be different than the counties, and that's okay. But there's a way, maybe a really cool way to figure out how we can all partner together in that.
I think you make a really good point, Preston, that we're not just giving, I don't remember what the line item we gave to the home trust was. Like, I think these are the services that we're getting. And there's some of it is just a base level support of an organization that we're getting services from. And some of it is, these are the services that we're getting. Because I know I've said when we went to our voters and said, hey, we're going to use this money for affordable housing, that we need to be incredibly transparent about what we're using that money for. This makes that actually more transparent.
Yes. It's my opinion that I think you called it like a master agreement between the different government groups. Lord, sorry, my brain just decided it was not having that anymore. But I do think that having a master agreement and being super clear on what we need from you, what our expectations are, and what the cities and what the counties are. But I think that the Housing Trust has done some incredible things for the community and continues to do so. And I think this would be a good option versus a housing authority, just in my opinion, and what I've kind of put together.
It's really being about being able to plan longer term than just year to year.
Yeah.
So there's not any decision that you necessarily I'm asking for today. This really is kind of a work session topic. Wanted to present this and ask for feedback, and you all can determine if you need maybe another work session to talk about this some more. But really the goal is to refine this list that you have there. Put X's next to the stuff that you want. If something is not clear, add that clarity that you want. If something's not there, add it. If something seems like it shouldn't even be on the list at all, let us know, like put a strike through it. So that's the kind of feedback that I'm looking for to be able to turn this into terms, bullet points in a contract. Does that make sense? Because this list is pretty broad, and some of those terms aren't, some of those items are a little vague, maybe not well defined. Want your help defining those, and yeah, and just coming back with any questions and suggestions that you have, so that we can turn this into a contract.
So I think it may behoove us to have another conversation in the next, month or so, however long it's gonna be, to give you all some time to think through that. And, I think you all would benefit from some guidance from staff as to, I'm just throwing that out there as to what we think we might.
Yeah, I agree.
What we've been doing the last few years. So, as what Jake was saying, I think that's a good idea. I think we can come back and maybe have some more recommendations and guidance to inform next discussions. And then subsequent to that, the more collective conversations to get help Jake and Andrea and whoever else put this whatever he's talking about together. Sorry for all that.
Yeah. We're starting broad. We're gonna go like that.
I think that's a great idea. Work session sounds like a great option for us.
I had a question for you. I think you and I had chatted about it a while back at your place. Other trusts, housing trusts in the state that interface with multiple towns in like in this situation, and how do you have a comp that you can balance against?
The closest comp would be Chaffey County. It is different in some important ways, but Chaffey County has a community land trust, and that's actually a lot of what the home trust was based on. But they also have a housing authority. But what they do in Chaffey County is the community land trust does for sale properties, and the housing authority does rentals. And here we've got Rural Homes, which has really done a lot of the for sale stuff. And in response, the Home Trust has been taking on more rental properties, or developing more rental properties, because we need both. It remains to be seen how all the Rural Homes management will totally shake out. Well, you've got your agreement with them, but you also have the ability to change that, and the city is still going through that process. So the Home Trust could be capable of managing that if municipalities wanted that, but it can also stay with the arrangement that's already been determined. So yeah, Chaffey County, it is similar but different. But they're a similar community. They're a little bit bigger than us. And then there are honestly a lot of other community land trusts are a lot bigger. The model is really has been tested more in cities actually. So we're pretty small for a community land trust, but we're pretty small for everything we do.
Jake, it may be embedded in this big list of things, and I haven't honestly read every line of it, but something that came out when I was at SMPA, we were working with the Norwood project for the rural home. I forget the name of the
Opinion.
What is it?
Opinion Park.
Yeah, Opinion Park, the name of the organization, Rural Homes LLC. It's one thing to create an affordable priced home. It's another thing to create a home that's affordable to live in, meaning energy costs. So an initiative I think that can be included in here, if it's not already, maybe are looking at energy efficiency and like the clean energy fund and ways to outfit the home with affordable energy uses. So that it's one thing to afford the mortgage, but if you can't afford to live there because of the cost of energy, the example was they wanted to make it all electric. And so doing their first way of doing that was to put in baseboard electric heating, which would have been totally unaffordable to live in. So we managed to find a way to get grants, that on-bill payment idea for air source heat pumps and things like that. So that should be an element of the affordability of living in an affordable home. Should be a component of it if it's not.
Yeah, and I think it's not in there, but in all the projects the Home Trust is developing, they're all electric. And they're all being assessed for solar potential. So the duplex is being built over here will have good solar potential. And so we're installing the conduit. We're not installing solar as part of it, but we're gonna make it easy for it to be retrofitted. So it'll be solar ready, EV ready, air source heat pumps.
Energy
and that.
efficiency.
But I would also argue that if the Home Trust was developing a project on behalf of the town of Ridgway, we would be giving them a set of, here's what we expect and here are expectations and goals. And then that would be able to be driven from that town level.
Well, it's the goal is one thing, it's finding the mechanisms to achieve.
I understand, but part of their task, if the town of Ridgway is like, we would like to develop this project on North Elizabeth Street and we want it to be, energy efficient, that would be part of what that specific project task would come out. We would go through the process.
Yeah, I don't know that that's really a service that you would be purchasing from the Home Trust, but if there's a place in the contract to say all the projects in the town.
Influencing the design.
Yeah, but you would, I mean, the town will have plenty of opportunities to influence that design through the outreach program and the individual projects. But just FYI, all the Home Trust projects are all electric with full climate air source heat pumps. We're not installing solar potential on the Riverwalk rentals in Uray because we did the solar study and that they don't get enough solar to do it. But that's happening currently. Cool. Anything else? Clear path forward? Kind of.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to look at it some more.
Yeah. Trust has come along what?
We meet, yeah.
Okay.
I'm in
All good
principle
stuff.
with
Yeah.
sharing resources.
Food for thought.
We'll keep you posted on next conversations so that hopefully you can be in the room and participate. I'd love to meet with you beforehand so we can maybe come up with some recommendations and guidance and stuff.
And great. Yeah, I'm all about it.
And just as we think about a May or June meeting, those months are either crazy as a teacher or summer, so the sooner the three entities can agree on a work session date, that would be really, really helpful. Concur. I know, it gets harder actually to pick a date the sooner you get, because people's schedules get.
Totally get it.
So that's just
We'll
work
work
on
on
that.
that. Work with Hannah and whoever the scheduling person is at the city. All right, thanks everyone.
Thank you. I'm not gonna be here all summer.
I might not be here all summer, and so I need to book a date to be here.
I'm gonna be camping during the cleanup.
What?
No, you're not.
When is it? So I can-
I will come get your bottom.
If you're, yeah, I'll treat you, you can.
Okay,
Yeah.
She'll do.
all right, let's,
All right, what's next?
Number 11.
Preston, you have enough to go on at this point on that item?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. That takes us to, and thanks, Jake. Really appreciate your in-depth work on this. I think it's got a lot of potential. Item number 11 is review and action on memorandum of understanding between the town of Ridgway and Art Space Projects Incorporated concerning the public art component on the Ridgway Space Crate building.
Thank you, Mayor. So, in an effort to advance the initiative to get a public art component on the exterior wall at Space to Create, we on staff and Art Space staff, Dana and Andrew with Art Space, have worked to draft the MOU before you. It lays out a scope of work and responsibilities for both parties to bring the art project to fruition. It covers everything from an RFP, request for proposal, community engagement process, to the fundraising and financial management component process, to the management and the construction of the final art component. So we feel comfortable from staff's perspective, comfortable with what's before you. Feel it's pretty comprehensive for process wise to get us from A to Z. And really excited about it. So happy to answer any questions.
I presume there would be public input as well outside of school
yeah.
council.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I just for to have it on public record, after I did that projections for the film festival on the east wall there, and used the upper balcony and with permission from, Derek, up there and Kate, Bertold and, his wife. Kat, were bummed that I hadn't approached them and asked them for permission, being their building. And they said that that's something they would totally support it, but they just felt like it would have been nice if I had done that. And of course, I jumped into the fray and helped Ariel out to do that. But because I used their space, they would like to be participant in that. So that just alerted to me to the kind of asking for the permissions instead of forgiveness kind of thing.
Right, totally.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
And with them being in close proximity, we would absolutely make sure they're aware of this and can participate if they can.
Yeah, just wanted to make sure that was right out of the gate stated. Yeah, it's gonna be the view out the window.
I mean, this is exciting to get moving forward on it,
Totally.
so.
Yeah, this by no means we're still very close. We had a lot of work ahead of us, but it's good to have sort of a structure in place since they wanted to be, initially they were going to be very involved and kind of help direct, and now they're putting it back on us and giving us $5,000 and putting us in charge. So in a way, I like that. I wish we had a little more money, but that's the next step. Any other questions from council? Anybody either on Zoom or in the room there have any questions about this item?
I'm very excited about this, and I'm happy to hear that Kat and Bartold expressed that they would have been on board if we communicate. And I think that leaves a lot of options for us, and this is really cool. This is great.
I move to, are we, sorry?
Yeah, no, I
Are we
was gonna
there?
do the same thing, do it.
I move
Yeah,
to.
go ahead.
Okay, the MOU between the town of Ridgway and Art Space Projects Inc. concerning the public art component on the Ridgway Space to Create building.
Second.
All right, motion by Polly, seconded by Beth. Roll call vote, please.
Council members Grambling,
Aye.
Kroger.
Aye.
Lakin.
Aye.
Skylar.
Aye.
Thomas.
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye.
Great, thanks, everybody. That takes us to item number 12, review and action on intergovernmental agreement between the town of Ridgway and Uray County concerning noxious weed management and control services. And
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So this IGA should look familiar. We've entered into similar IGAs the last few years. The term of this IGA is for 2024. If approved, the county would again be retained to continue the services of conducting surveys, assessments of noxious weeds on town properties or properties owned by the town, and making recommendations for appropriate treatment, and then conducting those treatments, including application of herbicide treatments as allowed by state statute and other regulations, and as approved by us, the town, in locations that we deem necessary. So Julie at Uray County Vegetation Management, I think is the name of the department now. Seems like it always changes, but she's been wonderful to work with. She communicates very well. We meet, or at least talk on the phone on a pretty regular basis over the course of the summer to understand what they're thinking, where they think they need to concentrate, where the trouble areas are. We bring in the other entities too, or organizations if necessary. The Uncompahgre Watershed Partnership comes to mind. We've met with them a couple times. So again, it's been great working with Julie. She's a great representative of the county, and it's been a great working relationship. So.
When we first talked,
Questions?
we also talked about having initiatives where the public came out and actually was involved in the process as well, where we're not spraying chemicals, but just weed eradication. Is that happening, or is UWP running those kind of things, or?
Like weed pulling events?
Yeah.
UWP hosts at least one that I'm aware of. John, you always participate. It's the Rollins Park cleanup.
Yeah. Yep, I missed last year's.
Outside of that one, I'm not sure, but I know that's at least one opportunity within the town that UWP spearheads for folks to come out and pull weeds by hand
Yeah,
for several hours.
yeah, okay.
There's a big group that does the Solar Ranch open space. West of the soccer fields, kind of that big area with the trails. It's a volunteer group that pulls weeds.
Okay. Cool.
I've
Yeah.
asked all my questions about this in the past.
Anybody on Zoom? What was that?
Oh, I just said, I think I've asked all my questions about this in the past.
Well,
I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement.
Anybody in the room have?
there's no one in the room, John.
Shane,
Great. Okay,
Sorry.
I move to approve the intergovernmental agreement between Ouray County and the town of Ridgway concerning noxious weed management and control services as presented.
second.
Russ and JT.
great. Motion by Russ, second by JT. Roll call vote, please.
Councilmembers Graham,
Aye.
Kroger,
Aye.
Lakin,
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye.
Great, thanks, everybody. Last of the policy matters, item number 13, resolution number 2405, canceling the April regular election.
This is an item coming to council, as town clerk. I have, made the recommendation to council regular election because we, as of the filing deadline of February 16th, only had enough candidates to fill the seats that were vacant. So under state statute and the town municipal code, I have the ability to cancel the election and by resolution declare the candidates elected. And through this resolution, I'm asking the council to acknowledge that. Those candidates are Mayor John Clark, and councilors would be Kevin Bramley, Terry Schuyler, and Josie Scoville.
Okay,
Awesome.
pretty straightforward.
We'll miss you, JT.
Mr. Gaskin, I'll be around.
So we have to
We can-
approve the resolution.
So yes, asking for approval of the resolution.
Move to approve resolution number 2405, resolution of town Ridgway, Colorado, canceling the April regular election.
Second.
Motion by Russ, seconded by Kevin. Roll call vote, please.
Councilors Graham,
Aye.
Kroger,
Aye.
Lakin,
Aye.
Skylar,
Aye.
Thomas,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Meyer.
Aye.
All right.
Question.
passes
Will the
unanimously. Thank you.
next council meeting be the swearing in?
Yes.
Because I will be traveling on the next council meeting.
That's
Maybe
okay.
I'll get in on Zoom if I get there on time.
Have you ever been sworn in person?
Me?
Yeah.
Maybe once.
I can swear that you did it online twice.
No, I think I made a picture. It's like the only picture we had.
Okay.
For the longest time.
Okay.
But
I feel like you were like, it was just like COVID. We were all like hiding.
Congratulations, council.
All right, that takes us to written and verbal reports, the town manager's report. Press, anything you want to highlight for us?
Yeah, just a couple things, Mayor. Special thanks to you, John, and you, Joanne, for traveling to Manitou Springs a couple weeks back for the hearing for the State Energy and Mineral Impact Advisory Committee. John drove, but I was just a passenger in the car. John drove the 5 hours there. We got there early. The presentation was only 7 or 8 minutes long, and she's turned around and drove back the same. So, John, thanks for driving. Joanne drove up from Las Cruces, New Mexico, over there, and gave a great presentation. So, huge thanks to you all for that. Hopefully, we hear very soon about the grant. Hopefully, Our Way has launched finally. The grant was approved in July of 2022, which is wild. So it's taken quite a long time to get to this point. So kudos to Gary and All Points Transit for the bulk of the work to get to this point. I've already seen the van a few times, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotten a lot of comments from people in town. Everyone's like, did you know this was happening? And I was like, yeah. Uh-huh. I'm excited.
That's what you pay us for.
We have street grading operations coming up. Really calling it street improvement operations now because we're gonna divvy it up into two segments. There's some streets that really need to be built up first. So in the weeks starting, I think April 15th, Randy, Jeff, Bobby, those guys are gonna build up the streets. And then when we get to May, about halfway through May, we'll do your standard street grading operations, which culminate with mag chloride application on top of the streets. So we'll start pushing out that information soon, but I think the way we've structured it now, it's always worked well in the past, but we have a different structure now since some of the streets need some good love. And then we have cleanup day on April 20th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m.
That's 420, isn't it?
That is, wow. Yeah, 420.
John, dude.
A new component this year is we have a ton of mulch at the yard that's ready, and we are going to make it available to put a pile out there by the roll-offs. It'll be available on a first come, first served basis while supplies last, so folks can come out and take whatever mulch they need for whatever project they have going on.
Just from local chipping of.
Yeah, from branch collection service and other stuff over the years. So we're going to try that out. I will send out a doodle poll sometime soon to adopt a highway cleanup set when Terry's not camping.
Better let me know soon.
Is there gonna
Coincide with
be
desert camping.
electronics pickup at this as well?
No, not at,
No, we don't, and,
It's Alpine Bank that does that, and I haven't confirmed whether they're doing it.
they are not doing it this year because they haven't been able to line anyone up. This year, the first opening is in 2025.
Oh my, okay,
Yeah,
all right.
Excuse me, Pam, you said you talked to them and they're not doing it?
yes, they were not able to get the company lined up. They're already booked out for the whole year. She did say that there would be something held in Montrose. I don't think she told me who was doing that, but it's not Alpine.
Oh, no. That's gonna be a bummer for me. Okay, good to know. What else?
yep. Our service line inventory that's required by the state is supposed to be done by October 16th. The engineering firm that we're using through technical assistance has already given us an inventory, which is great. So we're already technically met the state requirements. We could submit that if we want to, but it behooves us to do some additional outreach, do a survey of those properties that are listed as unknown, meaning like we don't know what material the service lines are made out of. So try to get a survey, see if we can get property owners to give us some more information so we can bring that number down as much as possible, right? So that's next up, and then we'll have our inventory number and get that submitted to the state. That did not take as long as I thought it would. That's the beauty of technical assistance. So thank you to Sunrise Engineering and WSP. I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
I have a question. I
Anyone else?
received an email from a resident about the really good suggestions to have dog poop bags and trash cans, one near the Wetterhorn development and two near Space to Create. Now that we have some residents with dogs. And then they also asked me about the baseball field, but that would be, my guess is that's the school that bought those bags and runs that trash can.
Which baseball?
The Sherman Street.
Oh,
But I do think the points about the candidate, like Laura and Otto, one near Laura and Clinton would be useful.
Yeah, good thought. There actually used to be one there when it was a trail, remember? I don't remember who put that up, but
Yeah.
That's a good thought. We can look at doing the same for, you said Space Creek or somewhere around there.
I have a question, and I don't know if this is the right time for it, other than the fact that I won't be back to ask this question. But I just had an interaction with a local resident, kind of a cliche story. They're moving out of town because they didn't get accepted at Space to Create and have been priced out everywhere else. She received an answer that she made $12 a month too much. And also didn't agree with how the math was done on how her salaries, you know, showed up on the algorithm for them. And I was curious if we've had any other anecdotal information come in like that from people who've been rejected.
Yeah.
I know John has, I'll let you talk, John, but I have too over the last course of however long it's been that those units have been open.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, I just would throw out that unfortunately the LIHTC funding that underlies the project makes for a just ridiculously complicated process. And there have been a couple, at least, of incidents where applicants felt like the process wasn't totally transparent and wasn't handled totally professional way. I'll put it that way. And Tara and I are working kind of in the background to try and figure out if we could maybe get someone else to be the actual property manager representing living on the project, because that gal has been a little problematic, quite honestly. So we're aware of the situation. It's kind of, it unfortunately is the nature of these kind of projects where they are federal money that has a lot of paperwork involved. And when anyone has a less than conventional paper trail of their income, it can be kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? It can appear unfair as to how they are dealing with it. But if you can't prove the difference between what you say your income is and what the property says they have to say it is, if you can't prove it, it's if that makes any sense. It's just, it gets really kind of weird. But we are working on trying to get a little better person in place to handle these things that are complicated and need a little bit of nuance, not to mention empathy in dealing with it. So I don't know if that helps at all, but yeah, it has happened more than once.
You know, and I just had this conversation with her, and I suggested to her that she write down you know, a synopsis of her frustrations on the process, and even including the fact that she didn't articulate that it wasn't fair. She certainly articulated that it was complicated, but more so, she categorically didn't agree with the math done by the person. And when she tried to have the email exchange, she got no response.
And we hear that a lot, unfortunately. We hear that about just even people wanting to know what the status is of the waiting list, people who want to schedule an appointment to just talk to her. She doesn't show up. I mean, it's a problem, and we're trying to deal with it. I totally agree with you. If you hear stories like this, get the person to write out their experience, document their experience, and give it to us, because the more documentation we have, the more grounds we have for trying to make a change.
Yeah, John's right. The income requirements based on the LIHTC funding, super stringent. So that's one thing. Hopefully that's communicated up front and understood by all the applicants. But yeah, what John said holds true. If the person you're talking about, anybody else is willing to put pen to paper and describe these potentially negative experiences, we need to know that. We don't control who the property manager is, but we can certainly provide some, you know, some jabs and some requests and some suggestions, recommendations, so.
Yeah.
It sounds like a dynamic that could use an ombudsman.
Yeah, something, it's gonna be really interesting to see how it plays out, because we have somebody from Art Space more involved now, and we've actually gotten the head of asset living involved, the boss of the gal who works there. And Tara's supposed to meet with them possibly even this week, to start the discussions about whether something can be done to change the way it's working. So we'll keep you posted.
Thanks.
In addition to the two fine jokes that are on the end there, I'm gonna add one since I'll be out of town next meeting. It's, how do you know it's springtime in Utah?
Oh, the
'Cause the
license
license
plates
plates
turn
turn
green.
Tell that last year. That's
No,
what,
we've all heard
No,
it,
we
because
just
we
don't
do
have
it.
to-
We are here for cleanup.
That's-
We got a thumbs up from Bo though.
yeah, that's what.
Your joke about yelling fire earlier was one of your all-time classics, but that went kind of under the radar.
When I first moved to town here, I lived at Kelly Day's house and took care of her two dogs, one of which was named Fire. And of course,
Oh my
Fire
God.
ran away.
Oh.
And so I was out in the backyard
Yelling.
stifling myself.
Who would name a dog Fire? That's insane.
The dog came with the name.
Really needs these ones. Good Lord.
That's so funny. For many years, forget who it was, one of my parents or one of their friends said, you know, whenever you're naming either a child or a pet, what you have to do is go to the back door and yell it out into the neighborhood, because that's going to be something you're going to be doing, and find out whether it's going to work or not.
I tried to name a family dog Puck, as in like
I-
from A Midsummer Night's Dream, because he was mischievous. And my mom was like, yeah, sure. And then like 2 days later, she's like, that, no.
I tried to name a dog Huck. My mom said no.
Hilarious.
On the same token, never name a sailboat after a girlfriend or wife.
Okay, anyway. Oof.
I knew a guy named the dog Syndrome. They can say Down syndrome.
That's terrible. That's terrible.
That's really
All right,
bad. Why? I actually am in my classroom.
Zoom's breaking up here.
Let's not use the.
Okay.
Are we done then?
We're
Good night. Sleep well.
Does anybody else have any committee reports or anything to try and bring us back to normal?
God, we need you, John.
No.
Quick on the Sustainability Advisory Board, the date was changed. It's gonna be this coming Monday. So I don't have a meeting to report on. I do, but as far as the resolution related to the efforts on net zero, I brought in Chris Steinkamp and Luke from Mountain Town 2030 to give us advice on the updates on the original draft. And it's gonna be a work session on Monday, working on that, so council should expect to see an updated draft of that resolution, not immediately, but probably by the end of sometime in April. So we'll move forward on that.
That's good to know. Thanks. And
JT, thank you for your service.
Thanks, JT.
Thanks for
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you.
All right. Unless somebody is objecting, I will declare us adjourned.
Have good travels tomorrow, John.
John.
Thanks. Thanks. I hope I don't get stuck in Dallas.
I think so.
Good night, all.
Watching the door and it's just.
Thanks, Preston. Thanks, Pam.
Thanks, John.
Safe.